Okay. Welcome to Oklahoma Office Hours. This is where you can spend a little bit of time in Oklahoma before you actually move here. So, I'm Marcy and I am an Oklahoma realtor and I'm also a lifelong native here in Oklahoma. I've been making videos about Oklahoma for more than 6 years now. So, on this show, particularly, we talk honestly about what life is actually like here, what your daily life could look like, what life in general is like. So, we're talking about different topics like home buying and neighborhoods and tornadoes, um, weird weather, hidden pros and cons. Some of these things people don't find out until they move here, and some don't matter to people, and some do. So if you're joining live on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you can ask questions and I will answer them throughout the show. Um, I'm not here to hype Oklahoma up. I want you to understand that. Like, people say this about me, like, you're really honest, Marcy. I want to be really honest because I don't want you to hate living here. That's not my intention. I'm here to help you understand Oklahoma. So let's talk about it. So I've been getting this question lately, and the question is right now a good time to buy? And so people are just asking me this question. It's just constant. It is constant. And I'm not saying I'm annoyed. I'm not annoyed. Uh, but here's the thing. If you need a place to live, then right now is a good time to buy a house. Like that. That's just how it is. Like, you cannot time the market. You are not Warren Buffett. So sorry, but that is the way that works. So is right now a good time to buy? That are like, I hear multiple different things. Oh, rates are high. So right now, I just looked up the rate for today. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. I think we're good. I just looked up the rate today and it was right around that 6.68. Oh, goodness. So the 30-year mortgage rate was right around that 6.68 and the 15-year was right at 6.2%. Now, is that more than what it was in 2021? In 2021 it was 2.75. So yeah, it's a lot more. Um and are we ever going back to that? I really doubt it, and I do believe that economic catastrophe will occur if we do. So, what happens when rates are low? Well, prices increase. That is what happens. So, if money is cheap, then prices go up on a property. That is the way that it works. Also, when money is cheap, when the interest rate is low, then more buyers come we call it out of the woodwork, or like they appear on scene. This can include investors. Like, I have some investors right now who are not willing to buy because they're like, oh, interest rates are too high and the prices are too high. But then whenever the interest rates go down and prices go up, then they want to buy, which is weird because you would think it would be the other way around, but it's not. So that is one interesting thing that I see. Is I feel like it's a fear thing. And I get that because, like, you don't want a high monthly payment. That is not fun for anyone at all. So, what I do in this market right now is we're talking a lot about negotiation. Because, yes, if the interest rate is 6.68% and you can't, buy on that, like, I get that. What I always ask my buyers is, what do you need your monthly payment to be? And of course, how much do you have saved up to put as a down payment? Some people don't need a down payment at all. Some people definitely do. It really depends. And then there's other things like closing costs. Right now, I'm negotiating a lot of points for people. So, what points are discount points. So, basically, you pay for your interest rate to be lower up front. So, you're paying for cheaper money. And so usually the way that we end up doing this in a market that may be fluctuating a little bit, or a house that's been sitting on the market for a little while, is we do go ahead and ask the seller to pay. The seller can pay for your discount points if you're buying a house. If you're doing a conventional loan with 20% down, the seller can pay up to 6% towards your closing costs, which include discount points. If you're putting down less than 20%, then it's going to be 3% of your total purchase price of the house that they can contribute towards your closing costs. If you're doing FHA, they can also contribute 6%. If you're doing a VA loan, it is also 6%. So a lot of times, like on let's see, like a $500,000 house, we're probably looking at $11,000, $12,000, maybe a little more. It depends on your insurance, what your closing costs are going to be. So if we put some of your money, or some of the money that we can negotiate from the seller, towards the points, meaning getting your rate lower, then we can manipulate the rate to get it to be where you need it to be in order to feel comfortable. There's lots of different ways to get the money to work for you whenever you're purchasing a house. So that is one thing. And I don't want you to be scared of that. Like, I feel like it's a scary feeling. Like, oh, I have to think about negotiating. And yeah, yes, you do. But that's why you have hopefully a good realtor who's helping you through this process. Because there are lots of moving parts and things that you don't necessarily know how to work, right? And also your lender is helping you with this too. So I have people that are working through this, and I just ask my lender to give me options for like buying down points for like different houses. Like, oh, here's a house, it's $200,000. They want to buy down this many points. Like, show me 3 different scenarios where this could work and what the monthly payment could be. So that is how we do that. Yes, interest rates suck. I'm so sorry. But here's the thing. House prices are not going anywhere. We are still seeing homes selling for 100% of their list price. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not, of course, going through a price reduction. It doesn't mean that the seller isn't contributing to concessions. Like, I don't want you to think that. It's just like, we call it a soft market, meaning you can negotiate a little more. You can take your time a little more. Like, I have buyers waiting 2 weeks to make a decision on a house. Now, don't do that if you really want the house, but you have some time. In 2021 and 2022, I was making people write offers within an hour. Well, I was writing the offer. They were telling me what they wanted to put on it, and they didn't have any time to think, but now they do. So it's helpful. So what I have for you today is a list of questions that I have been seeing both on the internet that people are asking, and then also like asking me personally about like relocation, different communities, and like their pros and cons. So I wanted to discuss those. And like I said, when you have a question, I need to see it so I can see them. And if you post them, we will talk about it and it'll be awesome. So here we go. The first question that I had written down was, should you wait for interest rates to drop or buy now? And that honestly is completely up to you. Just be prepared that if the interest rates do drop, like even if they drop to like 5%, the buyers will absolutely swarm. Like, we know that because we have seen it before. So just FYI. The second question I have, I'm going to wait on for a couple more because I want to. The third question I have is Norman versus Edmond versus Yukon versus Moore. That is a lot of different places, and that is not the only places. So here's what I see happening to people who may be, coming to Oklahoma, relocating from different states, is they see the popular areas. Oklahoma's only been a state since 1907. Some of the town websites are so good. And some of these towns make it in these, all these videos and like magazines, and it's so good. But that doesn't, just because like it's in there and you see it on a particular list, doesn't mean it's the absolute best, and doesn't mean it's going to fit your life exactly, right? So Norman is my favorite. It is where I live. I love Norman. And me and my husband have been talking a lot about why we love Norman. So for us, it's because we chose it. So we did both go to the University of Oklahoma, and through that process, making friends. And like, yes, a lot of our friends who went to the University of Oklahoma with us, they don't live here anymore. So that's like, that part of our community is gone. But then we have a lot of friends who do. And then like whenever you get your first job here and stuff, or like you start working, like you can see kind of how the community works. Norman is also 128,000 people at this point in the population. So that's really nice because it's a pretty big city when it comes to Oklahoma. So like, as a small town girl, I grew up in like a town of 15,000 people. Norman was huge to me. Like, I was so overwhelmed whenever I came here in 2007. And I think at that point it was only sitting at like 90,000 people, and I was still completely overwhelmed. I didn't even know half the town existed as a student. So it was pretty crazy. But that was kind of it was like, I needed that. Like, I needed the more people. So I have some people that come here to Oklahoma and they don't want that. They don't want to live in a town of 128,000 people because it just doesn't feel like what they're picturing in their heads. And I get that. And that is why I do end up making a lot of videos and talking a lot to people about the town of Blanchard. And it is one that I have a lot of videos on. I talk about all the time because one thing I really love about it is the people in the town of Blanchard love their town dearly. Like, they love it. And there's so many new homes and so many neighborhoods, and it is just, you can just feel the community vibe. And that's amazing. And it's very close to Norman. It takes like 20-ish minutes, depending on where you're coming from in Blanchard, to get to Norman. So that's very helpful. And the reason why I say that is because Norman is like its own tiny city. Like, your doctor may be here and you can choose a doctor here. A good giant grocery store like Sam's Club is here, that type of thing. That's why I'm saying that. There's two other towns around Blanchard that I often point out to people. One is Tuttle, which is much closer to Oklahoma City than Blanchard is. And one is Newcastle, which is closer to Oklahoma City and more than it is to Norman. So these towns are very similar. Like, Newcastle's the largest of the three. And it definitely has, how would we say this? They each have their own community feel. They each have their own schools. And because I think people tend to work in different places, it can all be like very different. But they all have a lot of new builds. Blanchard, in my experience, has more trees. There's also this tiny town out at Blanchard, Newcastle, that's called Bridge Creek. They have their own school, but not their own post office. So there's no actual like addresses that say Bridge Creek, but it is also another option. It is going to be more of a small town feel than even living in Blanchard. So you just start seeing this like web of these small towns as you go out there. And then there's the other non-small towns. One of those is Edmond. Edmond is north of Oklahoma City. I go quite often, to be honest with you. I know lots of people who live there, and it's we see a lot of people live in Edmond, work in downtown, but the same goes for Norman. So Edmond is north of Oklahoma City and Norman is south of Oklahoma City. And Norman's a bit further from OKC than Edmond's going to be. So it's like, you can't there is a difference. There is like a road that divides, of course, but it's just not as visible as you would see in the South. We definitely call people who live on the north side of Oklahoma City, like, or like, oh, you live on the north side, like, oh, you know, Norman, Edmond. Do we have a rivalry? Like, maybe, maybe just a little bit, but it's fine. Um, the average price point in Edmond is about $80,000 higher than it is in Norman, and that there's nothing. That's just it. So you're not going to find as affordable of housing, and you are going to find a lot of new builds up in Edmond, for sure. And then there's Moore. So Moore is this. It looks giant because the school is huge. It's 6A. It has 3 high schools. I think I was just on their like website for junior high stuff, looking at maps, and they have like 5 junior highs. It's because Moore is a small town of around 65,000 people. It's not that small. Like really, like a rural city is going to be about 50,000 people, like Stillwater or something like that. But Moore is small, but anything that is Oklahoma City addresses in Cleveland County is also going to be Moore schools. So that's where all those kids come from. So you can literally like drive through an intersection and suddenly arrive in Oklahoma City. Most of the new builds, if you say like, oh, I want to live close to like Oklahoma City, but like on the south side, and I'm going to say, okay, well, like we need to look at these zip codes. And that's 73170, 73173. Those are all Cleveland County, Oklahoma City addresses. And then there's a couple on the other side as well that are closer to Tinker Air Force Base, which is also a different animal. Definitely. Don't forget, if you have questions, you can drop them in the comments or questions, comments, chat. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I do need my water. I did fill this up and I'm so happy I did. Like, I always feel like my hair looks insane by the time I get here today. Because to be honest, 7 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock, 7:15 for me. It's very late. I usually don't work this late. My cats are very angry with me, but I do think it's important because I know a lot of you live in California, and I would like for you to be able to jump on, maybe even on your drive home. Don't type while you're driving, FYI. Okay. All right. Other towns. I mentioned Tinker Air Force Base, and that's one that does have like a different vibe around it. So there's kind of these big companies there's a lot of them. But the big ones that we typically see, like on the west side of Oklahoma City, are going to be Hobby Lobby and, of course, the FAA, the Federal Aviation something. I don't know what that last A is for. I'll figure that one out. I'll tell you later. And then we have Tinker Air Force Base, which is, of course, Department of Defense. Department of Defense is the largest employer in Oklahoma. So there's lots of bases all throughout Oklahoma, and we are an aviation state. Like that is a heavy industry for us. And Tinker Air Force Base is an air depot specifically for the AWACS, and then a bomber that I can't remember the name of, but I definitely see it flying around. So that's cool. So people that work at Tinker typically want to live on the east side, though many live on the west side. And whenever I say east side, I'm meaning like east of I-35. So I-35 goes straight through Oklahoma City, and so does I-40. So that's kind of how we dissect everything. It's easier to get to Tinker if you live east of I-35. Much easier because there's less traffic. So Midwest City is where the base is. And it's a decent sized city. I can't remember off the top of my head what the population is. And then there's also Choctaw right there. And there's Hera, which is a little bit further. There's McLeod, a little bit further, even more small town. And then there's Nuwala, which is like not a town anymore, but still has a post office, I believe, because they do have addresses that say Nuwala, but they don't have a school. So these areas, I mean, there was all farmland at one point, and then became like more smaller houses. And then the farmland all gets bought up because builders are like, oh, people want to live here and they want to live on an acre. So I'm going to build a house on an acre. And that's what they do. And so I sell a lot of those. And it is nice because you get like this own little, your own little like piece of paradise. And you have neighbors, but they're not super close to you. And that's usually what my clients tend to be looking for. Or I have people, of course, wanting to just not be out like inside of Oklahoma City a lot of the time. But it just depends on what kind of life you're looking at. For Oklahoma City itself, like, to me, it always feels like a bunch of small towns all mashed together. And what I mean by that is like, it's not super dense. Like, it's not densely populated because it just wasn't designed that way. And it's on the plains, which means like there's a lot of flat land and there is a river, but there isn't like mountains and stuff. So everything just kind of spreads out a little bit. Downtown, like if you watched the games the Thunder play, you always see like our downtown, and it's kind of like, wow, there's not very much there. And there's not, like, we have the Devon Tower, which is the tallest building in Oklahoma, but it's not that tall. And then I think there's 2 or 3 other skyscrapers right there. Skyscrapers, I don't know if that's really what they're called. I don't know what the definition of a skyscraper is. I haven't looked that one up, but yeah. So downtown Oklahoma City is pretty boring. It can be. Like, this comedian came, I think in January, maybe February, to Oklahoma City. He's one I really like. His name is Nimesh Patel. And he was at the comedy club, and we go to Bricktown Comedy Club a decent amount. We didn't go and see him, but he posted this TikTok, and it was like, I don't know, Thursday afternoon. And he's like, guys, I'm in Oklahoma City and there is like nobody on the streets. Like, he was staying near Bricktown Comedy Club, which is in downtown Oklahoma City in Bricktown, so near the river. And he's like, there's nobody on the streets. Like, where are you guys at? Like, I went directly to the comments, of course, and everyone's like, we're at work. It does feel a bit like a ghost land in downtown at those times. And really, like, our downtown is not like, oh, we're gonna go down, and it's not the nightlife like Bricktown is, but it's not directly in downtown. And then you have Midtown, which is a lot more busy on the weekends and at night, and that's a really cool part of town. They're really doing a lot of work on that. I was actually just there today at one of my favorite restaurants, which is Harvey Bakery. We love going there. It's delicious. They're only open until 6. So I was there at like 2:00. And then you have a few more districts in other places. So all of these little districts kind of just feel like small towns. And like, yes, other big cities have districts, right? Of course, I always explore districts whenever I go to other cities. Like in Mexico City, I did like different neighborhoods, or in Seattle, I went there recently, or in Portland. But like, those districts feel very smashed up. And like, there's townhouses and, brick townhome, like, what are they called? Brownstones? That's it. And we don't have those. That is not a thing. There are a few, but you wouldn't really go there because like, there's nothing there besides houses. And they're right by I-35 in downtown. So all these other districts kind of just have like houses, or maybe small apartment buildings, or maybe we have some really cool historical districts in Oklahoma. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about Oklahoma City and like what kind of life you may want to live in Oklahoma, because city life looks very different here than it does in most other states, especially like in Texas. Like, Texas cities are giant. Like, more people live in like Dallas than they do in Oklahoma. Like, 4 million people live in LA County, and 4 million people live in the state of Oklahoma. So it's very different. It's very different. Okay. I've talked a little bit about new construction versus existing homes. And I think one thing that really like draws people here to Oklahoma, I get this question all the time, like, oh, should I buy a new home or an existing home? And we have a lot of brand new builds here. And the reason is because we have a lot of land and we have a lot of cheap land. Cheap meaning like, I mean, 20 years ago you could really get it cheap, of course, but but now it's, depending on where it is, you're looking at $10,000 an acre up to, millions, just depending on what area you're looking at. So brand new builds, we have a lot more of them than other states. And some towns don't have them, like Ardmore. They don't have brand new builds. Like they do, but they're like customs. They don't have communities. We have brand new build communities, specifically in Norman, Moore. Oklahoma City has a ton of them. Choctaw has a ton, like everywhere. You're just going to see these communities. So basically, people just like buy up the land and develop it. And you'll see it like from the sky. Oklahoma is such an interesting thing to look at. And I didn't look at it. I flew on Saturday, but I was by the window, but it was so bright outside I couldn't look because my brain doesn't like that. But basically, if you look down, you'll see that everything is in giant squares around Oklahoma City, from Guthrie all the way down to Washington. Washington is a small town in Oklahoma of about 800 people. And everything, you'll see like these squares, and you'll be able to see them like, oh, a farmer's doing that there, or like that's a hay field, or that's a cow field, or whatever. And then you'll see like there's the square, and then one square will be one big house and then a lot of land. And then the next tiny square will be a bunch of houses all on an acre, and you can see all their pools. And then there will be two more squares that are still left empty for hayfields or whatever. And that is how everything got split up whenever Oklahoma became a state, or before Oklahoma became a state. Everyone got like a certain amount of acreage, and they were all in those squares. And yeah. So we still see that. So whenever like someone had 4 kids, like each kid got a little square, and then they decided what to do with that square. And some of them sold them to developers, and some of them lived on them still. Like like they really do, because that wasn't that long ago. Just a few generations. Like that was my great grandfather. He was 13 in 1907 or 1889. And yeah, so not super long ago. So we have all these new construction homes. Some of them may not be where you want them to be. So if you want to live in like the core of a town, like Oklahoma City core or Norman or Edmond, like buying a new house is probably not going to work. Like unless you have $1.5 million to spend. But if you want to live on the outskirts or a little bit further, like I live in a brand new house. Well, it's 5 years old now, but I live in a 5-year-old house, 10 minutes from downtown Norman by car. Of course, I could walk there, and I have. Technically I could. It's just it's a long way. It's not something you could do consistently unless like you really wanted to. So that's always helpful. So you can live pretty close into town, and then you can also go further and further out. And of course, as you go further and further out from a town, whatever, the houses will get more affordable, and you may end up getting more land. Existing homes, we do have a lot of them. We don't have anything like in Norman. I think the oldest home is 1900. There may be an 1889 thrown in somewhere, but I've never been in it, if there is. Then we have a lot of houses built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Norman really boomed in like the late 90s, I would say. And so we have a lot of homes. And so they just kind of spiral out from the center, And Edmond is very similar to that. So is Yukon. So is Mustang. So it all kind of depends on where you want to live. Location is like the type of house you buy, the age of house you buy is going to be dependent on location here in Oklahoma. I'm going to go back to the main question I always get from people. And this has been on the interwebs, what everyone has still been asking, and probably because we are coming out of our like severe weather season, tornado risk. I think, I don't know how many people this month I'm helping move to Oklahoma. I think it's like three 3 people, and they all have this question for me, and they're all just like so confused when brand new homes don't have a tornado shelter. And like some do, all Tabor homes do, but that's like the only one. Maybe some smaller builders will put them in. But yeah, we don't all have tornado shelters. I don't have a tornado shelter in my house. And it's a weird thing to say, but it doesn't bother me. What is the risk? Well, I mean, you're more likely to die of a shark attack. Like the high winds and stuff, like they're gonna happen. High winds, hail, because of where we are, but there's really nothing you can do about those things. The number of times I've taken cover living in Oklahoma for now 38 years is like 3. So, yeah. And when you move to a neighborhood in Oklahoma, you will see people standing out in the street watching a storm because they're so beautiful and cool. Like, we like that. We really do. There are lots of different storm shelters you can buy. They're very easy to install. Almost every storm shelter you're going to see, it's like you're going to see the storm shelter and it's going to go in one day. Because these companies are used to it, and like 50% plus of houses have them. So yes, you can easily install a storm shelter. So that is good news for you. The way I always think of tornado risk, and like, guys, you can hate me for this. You can hate me for saying this. It's totally fine. It's more likely I'm going to die of a heart attack, so I might as well focus on that. And that's like such a terrible thing to say, but like that is it, right? So yeah, that's where I'm at with the tornado situation. But you should have a tornado shelter if it makes you feel safe. Like, you need to feel safe, so get one. They're going to cost about $4,500 to install in your house or in your garage. Appreciation in Oklahoma. So I get this question a lot because, well, first of all, I live in a college town, so I do get university professors, and they're like, I may be here for 5-10 years. Like, what is my house going to be worth in 5-10 years? Well, I can't see into the future, but I do know that year over year, depending on the price of the house, the size of the house, you're going to see like 4% to 6% appreciation on your house. And that means you have to keep it maintained. You have to do things to it. You have to improve it. Like, it's your house, you're living in it. And we don't always view homes as like that kind of material investment because like there are better places to make money than real estate that you are currently living in. And absolutely, people make a lot of money off their houses that they sell. So both of those things are true. We are just not like a big swing market type of thing. Like some places in Texas, like Austin, I think they were saying that like 10 years prior, like it was like 2010, the average house price in Austin was like $250,000, and now it's like $800,000. So yeah, huge swings. We don't have that here. But do we want it is the question. I don't think so. I don't think we want that. Because it seems cumbersome and it seems like volatile. I don't think we want that. So is it a smart long-term investment? I own rental properties myself. I have clients that do. I think it is, because that we have a really steady economy here in Oklahoma, oil and gas, Department of Defense, and of course, like aviation, Boeing is here, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's a decent investment. Yeah. So a lot of people that I help move to Oklahoma, they end up living in rural areas. And one of the questions that I get about rural areas is going to be internet. So do we have internet? Yes, thankfully we do have really great internet here in Oklahoma. And I think everyone's going to have that with Starlink. I don't know what the pricing is on that. I need to price it out for my parents because they need it, because like it's really hard to watch Amazon Prime at their house. Yeah. But we finally got like really great internet around 2020, and like if you're in a town like Norman, Edmond, Yukon, Choctaw, well, maybe not Choctaw, some other places, you you're probably gonna have fiber optic lines. So like I have the choice of having AT&T or Cox. So that's really helpful for me. Um, yeah. And then utilities, like I am making a video that will go up this week about this, but it's about well and septic. So I answer a lot of questions about well and septic because once you hit a certain street in Oklahoma City, yes, you heard me correctly, and Norman, you are not going to have public water lines or public gas lines or public sewage. Like you're going to have your own systems at your own house in Oklahoma City. Tulsa is a whole other ball game with that. Less wells there than what we have here. So like wells, I've had very few people with huge issues with them. There are certain things you have to take into consideration, like freezing weather, because if your wellhead freezes up, your house isn't going to have water. So that's a thing. So people have to like put a space heater in with their well. Another thing is, with septic systems, there are 2 types that we use here. Well, there's 3, but hopefully you don't have what do they call the lagoon? Ugh, we had one at my elementary school. It's bad. But we have a septic tank and we have aerobic systems, and I have made an entire video about that. And I think that, it's been quite useful. Lots of people have been watching it. It's like 4 minutes of me talking about waste management. But these are questions that people have, and I get that. These things are going to take maintenance that you won't have if you are living on city utilities, right? But then you also don't have to pay city utilities. That is the trade-off. Other things are like gas, like public gas lines. A lot of places don't have them. So you may have a propane tank. You may also have like an electric water heater, which is one of the things that eats a lot of propane. And then another thing that you may have if you have a propane tank is like not a furnace, but what's it called? A geothermal system. Those have gotten very good. My parents actually have one, and my dad has explained to me how it works like 100 times, and it's really hard for me to remember, but because I'm not a scientist. But those have gotten really good, and I do see a lot of those where people are having to use propane. So, yes. And winters have not been that cold. Like, I think we had 2 weeks of like 15 degrees, which was pretty cold for us. Like, things will freeze, we're not really equipped for that. But it's not too bad. Like, it could be worse, right? It could be worse. Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to cover on the utilities. I did make a video recently about property taxes and homestead exemption. So I get all sorts of feedback about property taxes here in Oklahoma, like all sorts. But I think it's just because people coming from different states have like different expectations. And a lot of times they're already overwhelmed by our homeowners insurance prices, which I'm not going to address right now because another thing I've made a lot of videos about. But property taxes are going to vary pretty wildly by county and maybe by city, depending on like what do they call them, like millage areas. And one thing I had to point out to a buyer this week is that we couldn't. So whenever there's a home for sale, it's going to have the taxes. Like, oh, here's the taxes from last year. Cool. We were looking at one house. Oh, it was yesterday. I was looking at it. It was for sale for like $130,000. And the taxes said that they were $189 a year. And I was like, yeah, that's not right. Because basically, yes, is that seller paying that amount in taxes? 100% they are. But whenever you purchase the house, they're going to reassess that property. And like the previous seller probably bought it for like $20,000. So it depends on how long they own it. And then it gradually goes up. But once they resell it, it goes up quick. And so then it's going to hit like $1,000 instead of $189 a year. So that's how I've seen that work. So I know if like someone bought a home pretty recently, it's not going to go up that much if you're buying it from them. But if they bought a home 25 years ago, then you're going to get a surprise. But the thing is, the lenders will take that into consideration. And whenever they're having you pay your property taxes, they're also taking that into consideration at the closing table for your prorated taxes. So that also happens. So I don't want you to fret too much about that. Always a fun thing to watch out for. Okay. We talked about negotiating power and what negotiating power buyers have. And one thing that I have pointed out to my buyers over and over and over again in the past few months is we have to pay attention to the days on market for these houses. So I'm going back to this lender conversation and also just like how we operate in finding out negotiation power from, a seller, from another real estate agent. Ultimately, real estate is a very, it's like a relationship business. So I have to talk to the other realtor in order to get the information that I need in order to understand what the seller needs from a sale and what the buyer can get to make it a win-win situation. So that's ultimate, like that's what we're after. Like if a deal isn't win-win, then like it's probably not going to go through. That's how it works. Things can get emotional, etc. But like things kind of have to be win-win. Real estate can get pretty emotional and traumatic in those situations. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can also catch this on podcasts at Oklahoma Office Hours on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And of course, let me give you this. If you want to contact me, you can do that at this QR code, and I'm going to have that in the description for you. So that's going to be my phone number, and then also my the link to my website if you want to contact me there. That's totally fine too. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.